Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about the new dietary guidelines that apparently have just been revealed. I believe that it involved taking the food pyramid and turning it on its head. I guess the idea being that all these, grains and carbohydrates that we've been told are good for us, it turns out they're not good for us, and we're better off with things like, meats and whole dairy products and things of that nature. The article that I'm going to reference in the description to this video talks about the new US dietary guidelines, including changes to alcohol use. Now, I thought this was rather interesting, and as I read the article, I had a flashback to one time I actually went to a Dolphins game, an NFL Dolphins game, and it was supposed to be like a sober Sunday, meaning I was invited by a group of people in the recovery arena, which is where we work. And there was sort of a whole group of us in a certain section of Hard Rock Stadium where the Dolphins play, and we were all, a part of the group. Most of the people who are with us are in recovery. I'm not, but as a matter of principle, I just don't like to drink. It doesn't feel good. And what made me think of this particular event was the fact that in front of us was an entire family, and it was dad, the three sons, the mum, all the friends. I mean, must have been 10 or 12 of them. And I have to tell you, it was shocking. We sat down right before the game and we left right midway through the fourth quarter. And everybody in that family, from the time that we sat down until the time we left, was drinking. Beer after beer after beer after beer after beer. They had one off. There was no time when they were not consuming alcohol. And I said to myself, look, this is America. You can do whatever you want. Live and let live. But this cannot be healthy. And by the way, they did not look healthy. I mean, they just didn't. And the reason I shared this with you is because I had a very good friend of mine whose husband was driving home one night on Florida's Turnpike, and it was him and two of their children and some idiot who had been drinking way too much at a Dolphins game came out of the stadium and drove onto the turnpike as they were going past, hit their car, it flipped, and it killed the husband and it killed one of the children. And so when I read this, really, it's about time. And look, I'm not telling people how to listen. If you want to sit in your house and get drunk, that's your business. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I think it's about time that we did tell people and advise people and counsel people that alcohol is not good for you. It simply isn't. If you're a man, it's going to suppress your testosterone. It's going to suppress your body's ability to even burn fat. And, I grew up in England, and I look at my friends that I grew up with in England on Facebook, and they were drinkers and heavy drinkers, and they look terrible. Now, I don't look in the mirror and think I'm Tom Cruise, but I just turned 59. I think I'm ahead of the curve. My point is, it's time to have guidelines, and I'm glad they did this. And I think it's especially applicable to younger people. As an aside, I was out with a former colleague of mine. I was prosecutor back in the 90s, and I used to not only prosecute DUI cases, I used to be one of the attorneys that on a weekly basis was responsible for reviewing the cases as they came in from law enforcement and actually filing the charges, the charging document, which is called an information. And I was at dinner with a former colleague of mine a couple of months ago, and I asked him, I said, with all this education, I would think that there's less drinking and driving. He said, no, just the opposite. There's more people driving drunk, more people driving under the influence of some type of medication or drug, more people driving high than ever before. And that's despite the fact that, we have Uber. You could just, you get on your phone and you call somebody to come and get you. Despite all the education that we give, despite all the increased sanctions every year, more punishment for people who drive drunk, and yet there are more people doing it than ever before. And so I think this is a good thing. And that's my 2 cents on that. I'll post a link to the article in the video description if you have any comments or questions. One video I posted about the use of marijuana, the individual, I guess, accused me of being a party pooper, said I was no fun and I was all this and other, and all this other fun. And I said, look, you can sit in your house and get stoned all day long. That's your business. But when it starts to affect the lives of other people around you, that's a problem. And if you can't function on a daily basis, that's a problem. So I'll post a link if you like the video. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Please post comments. I read all of them. I typically respond within 24 hours. And thank you for tuning in. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.